You know, I think Jess asked a very appropriate question, and that is, what are people mostly interested in knowing? And I get tens, if not hundreds, of emails from children who ask the most interesting questions of all. Was Lucy married? Did she cook? Did she wear clothes? They want to know what these people were like. That's what people are interested in. In terms of education, I've only debated one creationist because it's too late. Their minds are already closed. It's like that bumper sticker, you know, the parachute only works when it's open, and it's much too late. You need to teach students about the natural world from an evolutionary perspective in grammar school, not high school, not middle school. I had an adopted Ethiopian son who lived with me here in Arizona, and he wanted me to go to his little class up in Scottsdale. And believe me, in this public school, it was not difficult to pick out the Ethiopian in the audience. And he was sitting next to a little white, blonde-haired girl, and he wanted me to talk about Lucy. And I talked about Lucy and all that stuff, and I said, you know, every one of us can trace our roots back to Africa. And that little white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl said, wow, isn't that exciting? I can't wait to go home and tell my parents that we're all Africans. But she had absolutely no problem in accepting this. I'm going to, next Thursday, we're leaving for Denmark. The last time I spoke in Denmark, as I often do with American audiences, is, you know, how many of you believe in evolution? Raise your hand. Well, in Denmark, every single hand in that audience went up, okay? In America, very few go up. And I say, you know what? It's going to come as a surprise to those of you who did raise your hand, because I don't believe in evolution any more than I believe in gravity. And we have to start communicating. You know, we have a big problem in this country, and it is really a religion that has closed so many minds. And I'm not saying we should attack religion, but I'm saying that, you know, we ought to keep people's minds open to accept alternative views about how we got here. So my answer is, they want to know about what kind of world they lived in, what their daily routine was, what they ate, were they married, were they bonded, did they have children, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to close by thanking everyone, of course, and being so indelibly, incredibly impressed by the enormous diversity of inquiry and specializations that we've heard about today. The unbelievable amount of energy, time, and efforts that a large number of scholars and students have dedicated to understanding Lucy, meaning representative of all the Afarensis species, they're all the Afarensis fossils, and to salute all of you and your students, because there's an enormous amount we still want to know about. And I particularly enjoyed Tracy's talk because she was willing to speculate. Even if she couldn't make hard conclusions about things, and it wasn't possible to say exactly what they ate, for example, she gave various options of how hands were used and options on different kinds of foods that might have been eaten. The main problem with some anthropology has been preconceived notions. The reason that Lewis and Mary Leakey didn't find hominins at Laetoli when they were there in 1939 was because Lewis said, there can't be humans here without tools. And of course, they did find the first hominid, but they put it in the baboon drawer. We need to look at questions not hoping to have binary answers, yes or no. We need to look at some plasticity in our approaches, as not only in terms of studying the fossils, but in terms of evaluating our ideas about our ancestors. That will help us explain. They weren't solely living in the tree, and they weren't solely living on the ground, but they facultatively went up into the trees, for example, maybe at night to sleep, to escape predators, to gather food, to protect their infants or whatever. But as Carol Ward said, you know, it was bipedalism that actually formed the anatomy of the foot. It wasn't already fully formed when our ancestors did leave the trees. I particularly enjoyed Ian Tattersall's talk about how systematics has been something that's been in the closet much too long. That there is a almost still lurking in the hallways of academia a linear progression from ape to angel, that evolution is a straight line, that everything has to have descendants. We know everything had ancestors, but we don't know if they had descendants. Kay's talk on taphonomy was particularly interesting because of the vagaries of how you go from the biosphere to the lithosphere, and how teasing out information is going to give us some insight into how those ancestors died. Andra's species talk was fascinating. Over 300 different definitions of what a species is. And normally these meetings end up with how many species are there on the head of a pin. Kim Hill always amazes me. I think his talk on human uniqueness and how humans are an outlier, and how cumulative culture, symbolic language, and cooperation have really made us who we are today, is always an inspiration. Kibbe, I don't know if Kibbe is still here. You still there? Good. I like very much that he drew attention to the fact that paleoanthropologists are not solely tied into studying hominins, but many of the other animals that are living with these hominins, and how we really need to continue to change this world of paleodomes to one which is much more inclusive, and I think we see some very positive moves in that direction. Ann Gibbons has a wonderful way of translating much of this into the vernacular, and was terrific to have here. Her presence added quite a bit to our discussions today. And for me, I'm going to go back and look at my notes. I'm going to ponder some things I hadn't really thought about before. And I hope you will also. So I just want to express my sincere appreciation for all of you being here today, and all of you who are still watching from somewhere. And I am positive that the next time we get together, we will know a lot more. So thank you very much.